If you're doing anything to do with property, be it apartments or house and land, and it involves a thing called a sunset clause, then you must watch this video. Hey, welcome to episode 5 of our ongoing series about the building industry, in particular things about the apartment market and the houses and land market, and some of the tricks and traps that people are encountering, and certainly things we've seen over many, many years, and our ongoing quest to bring you the truth behind the issues. So, joining me today is Stephen McCarthy. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. And today we're going to talk about a thing called a sunset clause. Now, what on earth is a sunset clause? Got anything to do with the weather?
Nothing to do with the weather, Mark. Well, the sunset clause, it's a typically many people are familiar with the term when it comes to buying an apartment. Mm-hmm. And what it is that it's a clause inside the contract of purchase that says that if the apartment is not finished by a certain date in the future, then either party, the developer or the purchaser, can terminate their contract.
Okay, so it's a finishing line.
It's a finishing line,
right?
Yep. So typically, right, what would happen is that when you enter into a contract to purchase a unit, you'd pay a 10% deposit. Right. That would go into a solicitor's or your agent's trust account, and it would stay in there until such time as the building is finished. Right. Right. Now, typically, a sunset clause, anywhere between 2 to 3 years is fairly normal. However, in the Financial Review I was just reading recently, there was a project there in Brisbane that had a 5-year sunset clause. 5 years? Yeah. And so what that means is that deposit of yours is locked up in someone's trust account for 2 or 3 or even 5 years' time.
Okay. Right. So, I mean, there's a challenge worth exploring there. But let me just ask, first of all, now, there must be a reason for these sunset clauses. What's the advantage of having a sunset clause? Yeah,
well, firstly, there's got to be a reason. Well, there is. And that simply is, I mean, you think about it, why did you buy anything that's not completed? Right. So you're buying an apartment, it's not complete. Why would anybody do that? And we don't buy our cars off the plan. Right. So the reason it's done is that this is how a developer gets funding to actually build the project. So the banks it's a bank's requirement. It's not a developer's requirement. Right. The banks say, look, if you want us to help you fund the construction of this project, you need to show us that your project has been accepted by the marketplace, and we call acceptance a number of pre-sales. Okay. Yep. So what they try and do is anywhere between 50 to 80, even 90%. They'll try and get the project pre-sold before they even start the construction.
Right. So that's the critical word there. Sunset clause and pre-sales go hand in hand. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so but what's the advantage to the consumer?
Yes, well, good question. They're both advantages and there's disadvantages. So on the advantages is that it can be a really, really effective tool. So you put down a small deposit. Yep. You know, let's say you put there, the apartment's worth $800,000. Yep. Right. So you put in $80,000, but you're now controlling an $800,000 investment. Now, if that market increases, say to $1 million over the next 2 or 3 years while the project's been built, your price, you got a fixed price. The developer can't raise your price. Right. So you pay $800, and that's that's your opening price. And when it's settled, you pay over the $800, but your property may be worth $1 million. Right. So there's the advantage is that you can make good money in a rising market. Right.
And this sort of links onto this concept of flipping, where people have gone in somewhat a little heavy in some cases when they've bought up these off-the-plan sort of things, thinking that...
Yeah, speculation. Yeah, I'll buy this today, I'll put a 10% deposit down. When it's finished in 2 years, I'll sell it to somebody else.
Right, yeah. Of course, plenty of people lost their underpants doing that.
Yeah, can do. I mean, because also the reverse is true, is that the market can fall.
It can.
Now, there's something else that we need to mention. So we just spoke about how you could profit. Now, let's just imagine you're the developer, and you have your project started at this. You sold them all for this sort of price. The market's now moved on. Right. And if you were to cancel those contracts and resell them at $1 million each, not the 800. Right. That would be as a developer. That would be pretty a tempting thing to do.
Now this happens in real life, doesn't it?
Now, how can they do that? Well, they let the project lag.
Right.
So they don't have it completed by the sunset clause
So
date.
the finishing line is looming, but they don't care.
They don't care. No, they slow the project down. Take the week off, boys. Mm-hmm. And so the sunset clause comes. They haven't finished the project.
And what do you know?
They notify your lawyer, I'm sorry, but we're invoking the sunset clause. We're refunding your deposit back to your...
Happy to give you back 80K.
Yeah, happy to give it back to you. And the purchaser has... hang on a second.
Yeah.
So you've had my money for 2, 3 or 5 years. The market's risen. I thought I was going to make this dollars. And you've cancelled my contract and taken my money.
And your time.
Yeah, and your time.
Yeah.
Now that in itself is like, that's pretty, that's like sucking on a lemon. What? But there's worse. You are now back at square one.
Right.
So if you bought the property as an owner-occupier, wanted to move into it.
Yep,
right?
yep. Now you've got to start.
Now you've got to start again.
Right.
You've got to find a finished project or do the whole process again. But if the market's risen, you're going to be paying $1 million for what you could have paid.
With a very sour taste in your mouth.
You try some more?
Absolutely. So that's there's an advantage. Yes, you can make money, but providing that you actually get to settle on your property.
Yes.
And there's no guarantee around that.
Okay. So what solutions do we see here?
Well, before we get to solutions, there's another thing too, is that this can work both ways.
Right.
So you buy the property, $800,000 off the plan. It comes up to the, it's coming up to the sunset clause date, and the market has actually fallen.
Right.
It's now only worth $600,000, not
Right.
$800,000.
Yep.
So
Can happen.
yeah, and the developer's looking at that data. He said, "Oh my goodness, I've locked you in at 800. The market's saying 6. Boys, overtime.
Yeah.
Right? Get this thing going."
Yep.
And so they push your project forward to meet the sunset date and lock you in. Yeah.
A little side clause here that in the push forward, you imagine might happen the quality.
Oh, we
way.
won't even go
That's
there.
another
We
story.
won't go
Okay.
there. No, that's for another day.
Okay.
We talked about that.
We've got this issue about sunset clauses and some of the challenges that might bring up. Now, if you were to steer entirely away from that, this concept of apartments has a finishing line but no start line.
Yeah, that's
Where
right.
is the start line here?
Yeah, there is no start line. There isn't a start line here. So,
Okay.
so that's part of the problem. So part of the solution, so full disclosure, right, we have been doing the house on a freestanding piece of land and a freestanding house. We've been doing that model, investment model, for many years. So full disclosure, that's our preference. And some of these things that we're referring to here is the reason why it's our preference.
Yes, it's learning along the way.
Yeah, it's trying to minimise the risk.
Yeah.
Right. And so with a house and land package, a building contract, it's got a start date and a finish date.
So as we talked about last week about the HIA and the MBA, these building contracts, these are the stock standard off-the-shelf things. You'll see one of the clauses will be the start date and another one will be the finishing date is.
Yes.
And that time to build the house is usually in the zone of what, 6 to 9 months?
Easy,
I suppose?
Yeah, sometimes a little bit more, depending if it's a complicated build, but that's pretty standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore, the consumer of the house land concept definitely knows when they're going to start, definitely knows when they're going to finish.
Yep.
And what else is in there?
Well, we've got to say there's a little caveat around that because it's not the getting the house built on time within that time frame is the issue. It's like underlining land.
Right.
Because you can also buy land off the plan. Now, in a very busy market, a developer will buy a big subdivision, buy some land off a farmer, chop it up into small blocks, get all the excavators in there and carve it all up. Now, that also can take some time. So, typically a block of land in one of those estates does have a sunset clause, and you have all the same problems that we just spoke about with apartments. So
the market's up and down.
Yeah, the market goes up and down. It's so I suppose with either model, the how you can protect yourself is just by simply viewing what it is that you're actually purchasing. So if you're going to be buying a block of land, it's going to the estate and saying, where is it up to? Is there all the machinery there? Is the bulldozers down there? Are they putting in the underground power and the water? Has it actually started, or is it still?
It's still a paddock with cows.
It's still a paddock with cows on it, right? And the same with the apartment building. Is it already up and the scaffolding's away and all the cranes are on the job and it's underway? That's one of the ways is that because you can buy an apartment and all it is a car park. There's a lot of work to be done there. So at least if you know the project is underway, that gives you some certainty in an uncertain world that it started.
Understand. Okay, well, thanks for that, Stephen. So again, some more clarity, some lots of tricks and traps out there.
Yeah, there is.
Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. Stay tuned. There's lots more to come in this series. If you've got any questions at all, please click the links below and follow us on social media, as you'll see below as well. Thank you, keep well, and share this information.
Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions that you've got, either be buying an apartment or house and land packages, any queries that you have, drop us a line down below, and I'm more than happy to have a chat with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
This cut is fresh.